What is going on, guys? My name is Tim Roswick, and today we're talking about press. Press is the lifeblood of exposure these days. It's how you get eyeballs, it's how you get exposure, and our industry is changing a lot. YouTubers, streamers, influencers are taking a big chunk of that, but press is still the elephant in the room. It's still the big guys. It's still the heavyweights. Um, Press can send you tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to your trailers, to your games, to your Steam store page, and whatever it is. And so it's really critical to get press. But we're going to talk about the number one mistake that I think a lot of people make when it comes to press, because one of the things that I see people do a lot, and this was big in my marketing company when we ran marketing company. So many people, so many business owners would come to me for consultancy or help, or just help coordinating their whole efforts. And one of the things I always saw was this closed-mindedness, or this hyper focus, or I would even say as a lack of clarity on who they should target for press. So a lot of, for example, I worked with supplement companies a lot. I was in the fitness industry a lot. Ironic, I know, since I need to lose a few pounds, but I was really good at marketing supplements. So when the business owners of these supplements, or whatever these were, would come to me, they would be focused on the fitness magazines. They would be focused on all these different websites and magazines and places in their industry. They would be focused on the events in their industry. And that's fine, right? Like, and as game developers, we target Rock, Paper, Shotgun and Kotaku. We want to get on these gaming websites for sure. But a lot of people, that's their goal and that's what they want to do. But they are forgetting that that is a small little fraction of total press, right? A lot of press is not specifically targeted to your game. They're not specifically targeted to games in general. They are local news stations. They are local newspapers. They are all kinds of places. And this is where we get into the difference between target market and total market, right? Your target market may be that hardcore PC gamer that's going to be on Kotaku every day looking up new games. But your total market is bigger than your target market, right? So that's who you're targeting. That doesn't mean that's the only person that's going to buy it. There are plenty of other people that are going to buy your game, right? So getting into non-game press-related websites, articles, newspapers, all that kind of stuff can actually give you a major boost in views, in sales. I saw this a lot in some of the companies that I worked with. Because one of the first things that we would do is we come up with a type of, like, first of all, in order to get press, you have to have a newsworthy story, right? So a lot of times the gaming press is looking for your announcement of a really cool game, or they're looking to a major update of a really cool game, or they're looking for some kind of angle or story that they can cover that sheds great light in your game. And I have a whole video about stories and press and all that stuff. But the story part of it is not only applicable to the games press, but the story part of it is applicable to all the press. So you got to remember that, like, if you live in a small town somewhere, there are very few people that make a game there, right? Your local newspaper may be willing to cover local dude makes video game, like for his kid, whatever it is. Whatever the story is, you got to come up with a good story, and you can get coverage. Now, I haven't employed this strategy yet with Philophobia, but as you may know, my game Philophobia comes out in February, near Valentine's Day. It's a game about the fear of love that comes out Valentine's Day. That's partially a gimmick, right? That's partially my marketing message, and I can craft a story around that. I can say 3 years ago I had a horrible breakup with my girlfriend, so I made a game about the fear of love, right? That story, that's a cool story. Like, a lot of people want to get behind that. They want to understand that. They want to talk about it. And especially when it's relevant near Valentine's Day, everybody's talking about love anyway, right? That's a really cool story to air. And that story can be in all kinds of places, not just Games Press. That can carry over to newspapers and all kinds of local places. Now, obviously, the story part is critical, right? You got to get the right story or you're not going to go anywhere. No one's going to give a shit about anything that you have to say. You can't just say my game released and boom. You got to craft it into a story that will attract viewers, that will get them clicks. Because remember, they're in this for the money. They're in this for the clicks, the views, the advertisements. So you got to write a story that will get them the clicks, the views, and advertisements. So having a gimmick, having a story, I wouldn't say gimmick. I think gimmick is the wrong word. But having a hook that is unique and compelling is really important. But once you have that, keep in mind that that can apply to bigger sources than just the Games Press. And once you start thinking in terms of what story can I tell, what stories do people want to share, I think it becomes really, really important, and it becomes really, you kind of take the blinders off and you see, oh, well, this outlet may cover this because it's a cool story or whatever. Now, you're going to have to do some testing, right? Like if you're going out, if like, let's say you get on local news or something, could that spike your downloads on an iOS game? Absolutely. Will it cause a major spike on like, a hardcore fighting game? Maybe not. But you gotta figure that out, and it's not applicable to every game, but there are a lot of games that it is very applicable to, especially seasonal games like Phalophobia. I don't think is a seasonal game, but because of the hook, because of the specifics about love and all that stuff, I think it's going to lend itself really well to me playing on that seasonal kind of thing. And I think I'm going to be able to get a lot of exposure doing that. And I'm actually going to target Games Press as well as non-Games Press. And obviously, it's the end of October now. The game launches in February. We'll see how well that does for me, for my specific game. I will keep you guys updated in that, as always. I'm going to be updating all the marketing all along my whole process, but we'll see how it does. I have a lot of confidence in it. I think it's going to work really well for my game. I think it's going to work really well for seasonal games. And I think it'll work really well for casual games. Those kinds of games, I think the story needs to be crafted, obviously, to get the news exposure to begin with, but casual, highly accessible games, mobile games, that kind of thing, can really, like, the non-Games Press can definitely boost your downloads that way. So I wanted to share that with you guys because it's something I see overlooked a lot. Like, it seems like every time someone says contact press, everybody just automatically assumes it means Games Press, but sometimes that's not what they mean. And you'd be surprised at the kind of shit you can get covered by if you just think in terms of stories and reach out to some of these people that want your stories. So that's all I got for today. I just want to share it with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and leave me some comments below. Tell me what you thought of it. If you have any questions on that, if I wasn't clear enough on something, let me know. I'll be a little more specific and I'll be happy to answer you guys. But once again, I'm Tim Relswick, and I will see you guys tomorrow.